Today we're going to be building a basic login system in Python for beginners. Now we're not going to be building any GUI application, so we're basically going to build a command line application, and we'll be saving our usernames and password to a basic text file. So for a login system, we need the name and the password, and some login systems have rows such as this one and a basic login to get you to the main application. So yeah, great. So we're going to start off by creating a new file or a new folder, and we're going to name this login system. Okay, so I'm going to open up on this and I'm creating a new text file, say user details dot txt. Oh, okay, you know what happens? We have to remove the txt to avoid getting an error, because so that's great. Now we need to create a new file or a new Python file. So Control N, and we can close out on the previous one, and we're going to save this one as first we're going to locate where we created a new folder, and we're going to save it as main.py. Okay, so we have that created for us, so that's great. So I'm going to close out on this one, or let's just leave it for now. So we have the basic file here. I'm going to define a function for logging in, and this login function is going to take a name and a password, and for now we're not going to implement it, so it's going to be passed. We have a function for register. It's also going to take a name and a password, and for now it's still not defined. Okay, so we have a basic beginning function, that is a function that runs immediately our program starts. So we're going to call that function begin. So what is the function going to do? It's going to print welcome to Victor's programming, let's say programming club, whatever. So yeah, that's what it's going to print. Now it's going to give an option, and it's going to be an input, and it's just going to inquire login, or I think login should be, I don't know, should be a single G or so. So let's change it to a single G, login or register. So I'm going to provide a person with two options, login, reg. Now he has to enter one of these in order to be able to continue with this program. So here's something I'm going to implement here, which is recursive function using recursion. Okay, so if option is not equal to login, I think let's use lowercase l here. So if function is not equal to login, option is not equal to login, and option is also not equal to reg. Okay, we're basically going to, what are we going to do? We're just going to say begin, which restarts the function again. Okay, so once this program starts, it's going to call this function begin, and the user has to give an option. Either he wants to to log in or register, and he has to specifically choose those. So let's run this and see what we get away with. So I'm going to give reg. It goes fine. But what if we put something else that's not related? You can see this restarts again until you give something valid. So yeah, that's good to note. So once we do that, now we've collected the option in this function. If we try to print option outside of this function, we're going to run into an error. Now why is that? Because we've not declared it to be global. So I'm going to go ahead at the start of here and say global option. It basically makes it accessible outside of this. So once we give a reg, you can see outside of here the reg is still seen as reg. So that's great to know. It can be called outside of this function. So what are we going to do? Once the user has chosen an option, we have to then pass it on to some mechanism that's gonna actually log in or register the person. So I'm just gonna call here, this is a horrible name, say access. Access would be the name of the function that will grant the user the access to log in or register. So I'm going to give the option to the function access. Now we're going to create a new function access, okay, and it's going to collect an option. So here we're going to say if option is equal to login. For now, let's just leave a pass. Else we know that is going to be a register, so pass. So great. Now if the function is login, we have to collect the person's name. So we collect your name using the input. Enter your name. Great. And then your password will be also an input. Enter your password. Okay. So that's what we need to collect for the for the login. Now once we've collected the name and the password, we're going to pass it on to the login function, which is the one up here. So we're going to say login what? Name and password, which are the two arguments it collects from the scratch. Okay, so that is great. We've set up the login. Now for the register, we also need the name and the password, so nothing different. We're just going to put in that here. Difference is we're going to put a print here. Enter your name and password to register. So that basically prompts the user to enter his name and password, his or her name and password to register, and then this is being asked of the user. So great. Once we've collected the name and password, we are going to pass it on to the register. So register is equal to, now what are we going to do? Not register is equal to, it's a function, so it's going to accept this name and password. Okay, it accepts the name and password. Great. So we've basically successfully been able to redirect our program from this access to login and register depending on the user's choice. So in the login, just to show what happens, we're going to print logged in. In ideal, that would not be okay because we have to check if that was the inputs were correct. Say registered. So let's run this and see what we get. So for now, I'm going to reg and I'm going to give random information. You can see registered, and if I went for login and I enter random information, you can see logged in. So that's just what we want. Now for the login, we don't want that to be random, okay? We want this to be able to check the file and see if there's something there. So for the user details, I'm going to open this up with my own name and password. Okay, Control S. Now this is how I want this to be. I want the username to be here, a comma, and then the password on the other side. Okay, so let's close out on this and minimize. So I think we should start with the register. Okay, so register here, we're going to open the file. So we say file is equal to open. Now what was the name of the file? I think it was user details. So yeah, we're going to give this as user underscore details dot txt. So great. Yep. So we're going to open it in append mode. Okay, append mode, which means we can actually add elements to that file. Now don't make the mistake of opening this in the write mode, which is basically going to overwrite whatever was in the file, and that's not good for anyone. So let's open it in append mode. So great. So what we are going to basically do is we're going to do file.write, and the file is going to write. Now I want to create a new line, okay, plus the name of the person, plus, now remember we separated it with the comma, then plus, what are we going to get again? We're now going to get I think password, not a string again. So plus password. Okay, so once we've written that, we want to close the file. So file.close, and if I run this, we would say when I go for reg and I give Adam and his password is at a, and we open up our file, user details, you can see that is there, neat and clean. Now if this variable was not here, this line was not here, it's basically going to skip one line before it starts. So I'm advising you to actually create one element before you start this, and you can also solve it by not creating an element, and you can try to implement your own program where it actually detects if there is a first element or not, so it can create a new line or not. So I don't want to make this tutorial too complex, so I'm just leaving that for now. So let me close out on this. So great, we've been able to collect the name and password and register the user. So file.close. Now once we register the user, we want to be able to grant the user the permission to actually access the real application. Okay, so let's not go there for now. So the login, we're going to file is equal to open. So same thing, user underscore details dot txt, and this time around it's going to be in the read mode, so we're reading for it. So we're going to say for I in file. Now we're looping through every element in the file. Okay, so for I in file, what happens if I just print I? What are we going to see? Let's run this, and we're just going to give a login. We're giving a random name, random password. You can see we have 1, 2, 3, and there is a space here. Okay, a new line character here. So that is basically what you're going to see. There's a new line character after the second argument. So we have the name here, and we have the number here. Now if I go ahead and I create a new variable, say var to be equal to let's say 1 comma or a comma b, and I say var dot split on the basis of comma, what do I get? You can see we have a and we have what? B differently as a list. So that's what I'm going to do to access that the name and the password. So I'm going to say a comma b is equal to I dot split. It's going to split that on the basis of the comma to get the name and password on the basis of comma. Okay, so the extra thing I'm going to do is that b is equals to b dot strip, which removes the new line character from that. So once I go ahead and I print a comma b, what are we going to get? If I run this, you would see I think we're working on login, so a random name, random password. You can see the existing one in the file is, so there's no new line and there's no comma because we've separated those into different variables. So now we know a is the name and b is the password. So we're going to say, give a basic if statement here. So if name a is equals to name, that is the name that was given in by the user, and password is equal to what? Password is equal to, or not password, b is equals to password. What are we going to do? Now we have to create a variable up here, say success is equals to false. Yeah, so if this happens, we can say success is equal to true. Okay, so that's just what this is going to do, and we would want to break out of this loop so it doesn't continue running forever. Finally, we're going to do file.close. Or not finally, we have to check now. Okay, if success, am I spelling that correctly? If success, okay, what are we going to do? Print login successful. So great, we have login successful, and let's see how this happens. Okay, if else, let's give that print wrong username or password. Okay, so great. Let's run this and see what happens. Log in. So I want to use a pre-existing name and password. Let's see if that is correct. So Victor123, great. So we're going to give the name as Victor123. Wow, login successful. Let's do something else. Say something that doesn't exist. Okay, sorry, login. Okay, wrong username or password. That works as we expected. So great. Now once this happens, I want the user to be granted access to the main application. Now I don't have a main application yet, so let's create granted as a variable, and it's false. Okay, granted is false. Now def grant is a function which just says granted is equal to true. Now of course this wouldn't refer to the global of granted, so let's just give a global granted. Okay, so that works fine for us. Now if success, we should be able to grant, so we'll say grant, that's person is granted. Now for register, every time this is successful, we want to also grant the user access. Now how does this grant magically gives us access to the program? Remember, it converts granted to be true. Okay, so now we can access that from beneath our program. We have begin, we have access. Okay, so from here we'll just come and say if now granted. So if the person is granted, we're going to run our main program here. So we're just going to print again, print welcome to Victor's Programming Club. Welcome to Victor's Programming Club. Then we're going to print ### user details ###. Okay, so next thing we're going to print is the person's name. So we're going to give username, and we're going to write the person's name. So if you're granted access, we're going to write your username out to the screen, and you're just basically going to see this. Now in a real world application, this would be much more complex than what you are seeing now, but we can get away with that for a small login system which is not so secure and which could easily break if someone changes anything in the text file. So let's run this and basically see what we get. I want to reg a new person, Mary M at 1 ASD whatever. Okay, name is not defined. Okay, I think we should define that. The name is not defined. Why is that? Okay, that's true. So we're gonna go in our login, or not login, I think something access. Okay, so access, we're gonna declare this as a global name. Okay, so once we go for reg, we could do Mary. Her password could be something weird, and you can say welcome to Victor's Programming Club. Username Mary, that's the user details, and any other random program you can generate. So you can add this to every other of your program which you've written. And if you started learning GUI in Python, you can associate this with your GUI. I believe everything should be working fine for now. I don't know if I've left anything out. You can comment out in the comment section below. I think that's all. That is all, I think. Let's try to log in, Mary. Okay, login. So let's just take a pre-existing user. Let's just copy this person here, and we will be set to go. So I'm going to cut out this Ctrl+X. This is the password. You can see that is great. So this works as expected. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Thanks for watching. Now, if you want to support this channel or this video, you could basically do that by liking and subscribing to this channel, and you can share this video to anyone you think this video might be useful to. And I'll be seeing you guys in the next tutorial. Thanks for watching.